Welcome to a new edition of the Neon Jazz interview series with award-winning pianist, composer, and bandleader Sebastien Ammann. He talked about his newest 2020 CD, Resilience, with Sebastien Amann's Color Wheel. It's a stellar lineup of musicians, and it came out during the beginning of the American and world COVID-19 quarantine on March 20, 2020. So this Swiss-born musician is a modernist in every sense, and his career is heading in the right direction. So please get to know him and dig this interview, my friends.
Well, hey, thanks for taking a minute out for Neon Jazz today. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you for calling.
So let's talk about your Color Wheel, Resilience.
Yeah.
Give me an idea. It's a great album. I really enjoyed listening to this. Give me an idea of what your artistic vision for this was.
Okay. So this album actually it's come after we did a release a couple of years ago called just Color Wheel. This was the first album for the group. This specific album, I was kind of thinking about composition and ways to create, to find a balance between writing and improvisation. Basically, to find a balance to let the musicians be as free as they wanted, but within a structured environment.
The one thing that I did notice, and I guess because of our modern world, whether or not this will happen or not, were you supposed to have a show on April 21st?
Yes, that's true.
Okay. And is that already canceled?
That is already canceled, unfortunately.
Okay. So, talk to me a little bit about the musicians on this album and kind of how the conversation and how you feel about what you put out there.
Okay. So the musicians of Color Wheel have been. So this is a band that I started in 2012. So these were at the time, I guess, they're both Nathan Elman Bell and Noah Garabedian were pretty, I'd met them probably 2-3 years earlier because I moved to New York in 2008. And Michael Attias was a new friend at that point. And I'd been listening to him. I'd heard him with Paul Motion and heard him, and I really wanted to work with him. We'd done a couple sessions at my house. So basically, I put this band together and started writing music and playing. For this particular album, a very good friend of mine, Samuel Blazer, who's an incredible trombone player from Switzerland, that I basically met in Geneva probably around 2001. We collaborated in recent years with a number of projects that we put together every time he came to the States. We'd worked with John Hebert, we'd had Masa Kamaguchi, we had Billy Mintz play with us, Michael Serene, Michael Blake. So it was we worked in different contexts together, but never really worked together on a recording. And his sound and his music and his approach to improvisation has always been something that I was drawn to, and so I thought, I guess this is a good idea, to have him join the group. And we did a tour last year, the 2018, very early 2018, in Europe with Samuel, and the music just really came together, and I really loved how those guys approached the new music. And so I just decided to do a recording. That was going to be the next one. So I'm very excited about this record.
So you grew up in Switzerland. Talk to me a little bit about your childhood and how you got into jazz.
My family is not necessarily a musical family, although my dad played guitar and clarinet when he was young. But they always, they had records in the house, and I listened to a lot of them. One of my first LPs that I listened to was a Stan Getz album called Reflections, I think, and I don't remember it that well. But when I got to high school, I had a music teacher, a piano teacher who came to my house who was from Paraguay, and he would play weddings, and he was into improvisation and Latin American music, and so we started transcribing songs that I liked. We started, teaching me the beginning of improvisation, and at some point when you realize I took a liking to it, he said, you should go and see this guy in town. So I went to see the main pianist and piano teacher in town called Michel Bastet in Geneva. And then the following year I started the jazz school. Before that, I remember listening, a friend of mine just gave me a mini disc at the time that was the Coltrane Eric Dolphy recording. I did not really get it, but I was really into it. I remember listening to, Miles Davis's Decoy album. One of my first records that I listened to was Oscar Peterson. Well, so it was not Oscar Peterson, but he was on it. It was basically a compilation of the jazz pianists, and Oscar was on it. Art Tatum was on it. Fats Waller. There were all kinds of incredible pianists, and it was a compilation. And I really kind of got into it. So it was little by little. And there's a great club in Geneva, Switzerland they're called the AMR. That was really a very, 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 very important step, in me developing, my love for that music.
So when you finally did arrive in America and, got your feet wet here, what was that period like? What was it like to get immersed into America and kind of get into the whole jazz groove?
It was pretty incredible because I came here with the idea of studying with a few people over a 6-month period and then going back. So I'd never really anticipated living here for now. It's been about 12 years. So in the beginning, I just kind of had all this time, and I studied with both Gary Dial, who teaches at Manhattan School, and Jacob Sachs, a good friend of mine, incredible pianist. And so I would just practice. I met a couple people. We had a steady gig, started playing here and there, and mostly what really struck me was the home sessions or the informal sessions where everybody brings music and just plays, and just having to kind of deal with all these people's different music. I think it really, really opened me up. And also going to see shows every single night, for at least the first few years. It was just, that was my, playing and listening to music and talking about it. So it was really like, I was just, I dove right in.
What do you like best about being a musician?
What do I like best? I think it's just the fact that you're basically in the unknown of your own psyche in a way, and you're trying to figure out what's next, and like opening up little doors, just learning about yourself, learning about who you are, and just feeling that every day there's another development.
So what was one of the first live jazz shows you ever saw that made you think, man, this is what I want to do with my life?
I think it was, one of the first live shows it was probably Sonny Rollins at the Victoria Hall in Geneva, Switzerland. I mean, and it was, I went up to him afterwards and got to, it was probably a 15-second little, back and forth. But I remember asking him, what schools are the best in the States? I'd like to go and study in the States. What schools do you recommend? Now, I must have been pretty young because, I would never ask that question, especially to someone of his stature now. But he just said, don't go to any school, just listen to the records and learn from the records. And that was a really meaningful interaction. And his just seeing him on stage, seeing him after, when he was after the concert was kind of it was an enlightenment moment, And I guess the other very meaningful moment was to see Andrew Hill at a festival in Switzerland with the band Timeline. That was another very, very memorable concert, and it was a moment where I was like, yes, this is it.
We're in a unique time right now where everything's on hold. Live music has come to a halt. When we get past this global quarantine and past Corona and all of these things that are happening now, what do you hope happens for the crowds and for the people that finally get to go back out and hear live music again?
Well, I think there's going to be a need for that. I'm definitely feeling a sense of, I just want to, play with friends is what I miss the most, just to get together with people and play together, But I think that people will hopefully, people realize that the live aspect, the aspect of seeing music being created in the moment, regardless of the style, but being part of that, just part of that moment that's actually pretty intimate to see people, come up with music and be searching. I'm really hoping that people will, take a new, not take it for granted, that it's like something that you needs to be nourished and something that needs to, be supported.
So everything's going to come down to this. Everyone has a version or a perception of you, your family, your friends, your fans, but you know yourself best. Who do you think you are?
I'm basically, I hope that I'm basically always changing, always getting to know myself better through music, through friendship, through love, through, family. I'm someone that's very, very inquisitive. I listen to a lot of different kinds of music. I read a lot. I'm just really, really curious. I guess that's one of my traits that has been kind of, being clarified in recent years, and I'm embracing that.
Hey, man, thank you for taking some time out for Neon Jazz. Good luck with everything, and
thank you so much, Joe. And thanks for showing your interest.
Good luck with everything.
Thanks, Joe. Good luck to you.
Thanks for listening and tuning in to another Neon Jazz interview, where we give you a bit of insight into the finest players in Switzerland, New York City, Kansas City, and spots all over the world, giving fans all that jazz. And thanks to Sebastien for his time, music, and stories. If you want to hear more interviews, go to Famous Interviews with Joe Domino on the iTunes Store. Visit neonjazz at youtube.com. And for everything Neon Jazz all the time, go to the neonjazz.blogspot.com. And please support all the artists out there. Until next time, enjoy the jazz, my friends.
Neon Jazz.